Welcome to galacticconnection.com, one of the most popular blogs on the World Wide Web today for alternative news. Stay tuned for the latest information on our world shift from enslavement to galactic involvement, as well as current intel on any blockages impeding us from our sovereign birthright. Knowledge and self-mastery are key at this time. Our commitment is to present you with the latest breaking conspiratorial articles, off-world messages, exopolitics, cutting-edge technologies and sciences, and also an ever-significant intertwining of spiritual support and metaphysical scope that one needs to dive down the rabbit hole in search for truth with balance. We are truly on the horizon of a new golden age filled with the promise for more love, worldwide peace, and accelerated intuitive skills, where every living being can exist in cohesion and abundance. It is whatever we envision and dream this new world to be. I say to you now, let's redefine the new world to the beginnings of our own precious heaven on earth. Galactic Connection is here to provide the pulse of Mother Earth through an eclectic range of interviews each Tuesday afternoon from 3 to 4:55 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Station 2 on BVS Radio, expanding your perspectives on how we can once and for all take back our freedoms, our joy, and our connection with our mighty I Am presence. Our intention remains true to connect hearts and minds everywhere in order to obtain global unity and galactic and universal acceptance. Our discussions will continue to cover anything to do with galactic society and our involvement with our galactic brothers and sisters. Our guests are experts in their fields, and our radio shows have been coined as some of the most thought-provoking out there. In addition to our daily blog, which runs 365 days a year, we also offer a realm of healing services such as our world-renowned implant removal processes, our spiritual past life clearings, our galactic violet ray alchemy from Alexandra, who shares in the lineage of Merlin, and other cutting-edge healing technologies. Check our site out at galacticconnection.com now, sending you a wave of light, love, and inspiration, and a personal hug and thank you for listening to our Galactic Connection radio show and visiting our blog today. Good morning, everyone. This is Alexandra Metters of galacticconnection.com, and I have a pre-recorded interview for April 25th, 2017. And again, before I dive into that, I just wanted to pass on a couple of messages to my audience. Today is truly a day of victory. We have had some phenomenal shifts and changes, and I can honestly say we have been truly victorious for the light. I want everyone to really start separating yourself from the third dimensional chaos, pandemonium, all of the articles and headlines, and even the momentum and the energies that are going across the internet. They are not serving you. If you're going to be triggered, or if you're feeling that you're going into a space of fear, or even if you feel that you're going to experience some sort of Armageddon, this is definitely a time to stand in your truth and understand who you really are and where you're going. So I have noticed with a lot of the clients that I've spoken with that they are really feeling that vibration from the mass consciousness, because there is a lot of panic and a lot of anticipation going on. And I just want to remind you again, this is a time to really distance yourself from that. Be cognizant of it. Catch yourself when you go into a space of panic, anxiety, or fear. There are several clients that have come to me with heart issues. This has become fairly prominent and common. People are having racing of the heart. They're feeling that their hearts are being strangled. I'm even here that they feel that they're about to have a heart attack. But in reality, what we're doing is we're experiencing what we had experienced once before when the flood occurred and we all went into a state of panic, knowing what our demise was going to be. We are way past that point. That is not going to happen for those of us who choose not to believe in that. It's very key that you understand the words of what you believe is what you are going to end up creating as your exit plan from here to where we go. So with that said, keep your eyes to the skies. There are huge changes going on, and very, very good news. So today what I want to do is bring on a really interesting guy. His name is Roger Spurr. And Roger Spurr is, he has a very diverse background. And apparently about 5 years ago, he started kind of stumbling upon the idea of mud fossils. You can catch him at Mudfossils-University on Facebook. And you can also catch him on YouTube. There are just a slew of videos up there. And he's really good about keeping them short, sweet, to the point, really educating you. Now, his background is also in chemistry, but he has spent over 5 years working with chemistry, DNA testing, CAT scans, and spectron tests to verify and prove that mud fossils are, in fact, real. And that, get this, guys, that they are giant creatures, human beings, okay? And so today we're going to talk about this. This is going to change the way you see and think and interact with this planet big time. Just right up my alley, and I know it's right up yours. So thank you, Roger. We've had some technical difficulties, folks, so bear with us. The information is amazing, but you may have some crackling on the background part of the audio. So, hey, Roger.
Hello, Alexandra. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And I think the best way to start with this is to tell people a little bit about your background, how you stumbled upon this.
Well, I've been deep into science my whole life, and when I see things, I have to figure out what the heck I'm looking at. And I started one day. I've been in business for my whole life, and then I retired, and I was working around a yard, and I'm going to build a drainage ditch. I needed some stone. So I started digging in the dirt, and I'm pulling out these stones, and I'm looking at them and saying, what the heck is this? Crazy stuff, which I don't know if you can see my screen there, but you can see some of the things that are on my screen in front of you.
Yeah, now, different kinds of blocks.
Oh, just insane looking things, and I'm thinking, how did these things get here? And everybody said, they're just rocks, put them in. I said, no, something strange here. So I started looking at them closely, and I started seeing similarities on different rocks, and then I started seeing that the coating on the rocks was a fabric on a lot of them, which, I started going deeper into it and looking at, and it's what they call a fascia. And fascia is the coating of every organ in your body, and every single cell literally has a fascia coating on it, which protects it from everything else. It keeps it separated. And that's why these things come out in body pieces, literally in pieces. The bones are wrapped in fascia. The ancient Greeks called it tunica, like it was wearing a tunic. And it's what it is. So as I started unveiling these things, I realized these are all creature body parts.
Oh my God.
So, and it started blowing me away. And then I looked, and I found a hand that was 36 inches wide, a 3 feet wide hand. And as a matter of fact, in the screen you see there, well, I don't think there's a fingertip on there, but the fingertip is like 9 inches long, it's 6 inches wide. The tip, and I have the palm, and I have some of the knuckles, and as I'm digging them out, I'm thinking, this is crazy. So I presented it to Yale. I called them up. I said, I got some crazy stuff here. Oh, no, you got nothing. No, it's just rocks. So they would not discuss it with me. Anyway, I said, well, what would it take for you guys to really look at this? Because I know what I got here. Oh, you'd have to have CAT scans and DNA and all this stuff and anatomists. I said, I'll do all that. So I did. And I mean, these are advanced tests. This is not a puppy test either. This was done with very, very skilled professionals in 2 different labs, and 3 different tests were done, 7 different CAT scans. And the CAT scans were done by Jesse Garant and Associates, who scans industrial equipment, because they're stones, they're rocks. Now they are minerals, but at one time they were animated, walking around, breathing oxygen just like us.
It just
And
makes
it's
so much
insane.
sense. It makes so much sense, Roger.
Well, when you look at them, you say, how did this happen? And then you all of a sudden, I mean, I got to show you something. I'm going to go and show you a picture here. Let me see if I can get you up out of the way here.
Well, while you're doing that, can I ask you?
Sure.
A lot of times when I'm driving and I drive through areas where there's, you're driving along, it's perfectly normal terrain. You've got, maybe grassy valleys and mountains. And then all of a sudden you hit a location where there's several miles of broken up pieces of rock all over the place. Yeah. And it's just out of nowhere. And a lot of times they'll say something like, oh, well, those are just old rocks that, fell apart over time. But when you look at the rocks, they have these perfect flat edges that actually fit together, like.
Right.
So, I mean, do you think all of those as well? I mean, are you saying all
100%, absolutely, 100%.
Oh my God.
The Earth is 100% a carcass. That's a fact. Not one thing on this Earth was not animated at one time. Every single molecule in the universe is either alive, was alive, or will at some point in the future be alive. There is no molecules that are dead.
God. So this would explain why so many of us, I mean, there's a lot of us that collect rocks. We're obsessed with rocks.
People can see, the average person can see. Look at this. You see what's on the screen?
I'm blown away by it.
That is a lung, and that is a mud fossil. That was found by Gary Evans over in England in a mud flat. Wow. And the reason they find these things so preserved and so exquisitely articulated, and you see here the black part up here, you can see my cursor going around circles. That black part is the FeO2 blood, which is being returned to the lung to be oxygenated and turned into this red blood and pumped back to the heart and to be fed down the arteries. Now, this red blood is what is called chelated. Well, they call it chelated, but it starts with a CH, so I call
chelation.
it chelated. I'm just pronouncing it wrong.
Okay.
Anyway.
It's supposed to be chelated?
Yeah, who told you to pronounce it like that? It's really chelated, so come on with the program. Anyway, so what happens is ferrous oxide is iron, and it is a transition metal, which what happens to it is it goes into a metal complex and it surrounds the hemoglobin, which includes the DNA, and it sequesters it just like it put it in a rubber bag. And that's a fact. And you can, once it comes out of the correct pH and so forth, and the wetness, then you can hit it with a taste of acid, and it will open up those bonds and break open the DNA, and it'll fall right on the floor. I mean, the DNA is in there just waiting to be extracted. There's no fancy thing going on here. Now,
oh my God.
This is we figure this is probably about 4,300 years old, more than likely, this long.
Now, when you said mud bath or where are those located? I mean, you said that there's like a better protection of the actual fossil in these mud flow bath locations.
Well, let me explain to you this is what I have determined happened with all of the research, and I've done a lot of research. Going back to the flood. Now, I'm going to teach you. You want me to talk to you about the Jesus thing?
I totally want you to go in the Jesus thing.
All right, because I mean, this is just, I'm a chemist and I go for facts. That's where I work. I work in a factual range. Don't tell me about this might have happened. I don't want to know because you have no facts. However, when I present facts, You got to come back at me with facts. And here's my fact. Velikovsky did all the research, and this was 1950 when there was no computers. He went into the museums, he looked at the artifacts, he read the papyruses, he went to all the translations. He was a Jewish scholar, a contemporary of Einstein, and they knew each other. And Einstein eventually said he was correct, Velikovsky. And Velikovsky said that Venus, the planet, erupted and gave birth from the feared god Jupiter 3,500 years ago. That's only 1500 BC. So Venus was never alive, which it literally is alive, since 3,500 BC, and it was seen as a comet. And it's recorded everywhere in history of all the civilizations. It came past and wrenched the earth and destroyed literally all the civilizations on earth, turned them into chaos because the buildings were destroyed. There was floods, there was fires, there was stones falling, there was red particulates and actually hydrocarbons falling all over the earth. And that's when the Jews, or the Israelites, they escaped from Egypt, and that is the Exodus. They literally escaped during this chaos. And they sent them away because, or they either sent them away or they escaped because they couldn't take care of them, or too much turmoil. I don't know what it was, but that's when they left, and that was 1500 BC. So here's what we're looking at. Venus hits the stage a little earlier than that, 1500 BC. It ravages the Earth, knocks Mars out of its orbit, kills Mars. And this is all recorded in history. I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
And Velikovsky found it. Now, at the exact same time, the Bible starts. The exact same time, the Exodus.
Interesting.
And God comes down. He says, okay, you guys are going to have to straighten out the earth because it's a mess. Now, he sends his son down at this time, and I can't explain this, but it appears that Jesus was born in space and is Venus. I cannot explain this. So don't yell at me, but I can't explain it. It says in Revelations 12, it says that she stood with her feet on the moon, pregnant and about to give birth, with the sun in a cloak around her body. And when she gave birth, a dragon came down to try to steal the baby. And God swooped in, took his child to his throne. It's exactly what it says in Revelations 12. And then the dragon went into fits of rage, and they had fights with the angels and all this, and he was thrown to the earth. And I found the dragon.
You did?
Absolutely. You want to see it?
Oh my God, yes.
Oh yeah, we got a dragon for you.
I know dragons exist. I mean, I've done a lot of research.
Oh, wait. You don't know about this one. Hold on. Where do you see this one? I got to find it here. Hold on.
Well, and you said something about when Jesus fell to earth, which anybody in my audience is never going to question that.
Well, here, the reason I say that is because well, here, let me find the dragon for. I got to open up some stuff. We had to close it up.
Well, first of all, you have to think about which timeline are we talking about?
Well, the flood happened, I believe, when she broke her water on the moon.
Makes sense.
Broke her water, getting ready to have a baby, and that was what created the flood on the earth and drenched the earth.
Wow.
Then, hundreds of years later, when the baby was born, I mean, Jesus, it says it was his son. Hold on, let me grab this. At that point, the afterbirth would be in space. And I'm talking about a literal vaginal birth from the great red spot on Jupiter, which is identical to the size of Venus. Hold on.
Wow, really?
Yep. There's nothing that does not fit.
That's really interesting. And you said something about Jesus ended up being the...
Well, he was the manna.
The manna.
His body fell to earth, and he said, that was my body that fell to earth when you guys escaped from Egypt. and it fed your forefathers in the desert. That was me. It was me. I am the bread of life. I fed, and I was the one, not Moses. I fed them. It's exactly what he said. They said, "What are you, crazy?" He said, "No, I was the one that came out of space and fed your forefathers." That's what he said. Now, you've got stones falling, which is the umbilical cord, which is heavily mineralized.
Okay.
And that's all recorded. You have the manna falling, which is the placenta, which is a gelatinous lactogenic protein mix that is infused with milk when the baby's born. It's a literal bag of milk. And that is what fell through the earth. It was called manna, and it came down as little pellets of dried milk. And when it landed in the water, it turned into milk. And when it landed on the ground, it melted, and it was honey. And they had to collect it first thing in the morning before it did melt on the ground and turn putrid.
Oh my God.
And red blood fell all over the earth and coated the earth at that same time. There's nothing that's wrong. Zero. And then Jesus comes along a couple thousand years later. He says, "Yeah, that was me. That was me. I fell out of the space. Where do you think that food came from?" And you figure it out. Anybody else can tell me that that's wrong. God bless them, because I can't figure out how they can come up with another scenario.
Wow.
That's a mind blower, isn't it?
Well, it fits in with a lot of the information that we've researched.
Oh boy,
Very interesting. What do you feel about a lot of the videos coming out with people are saying that a lot of these mountains are actually the leftovers from gigantic trees?
The tree ones are there are gigantic tree ones. Here, let me get back here and get to the downloads. I'll show you some tree ones. The plant ones do a cellular. Here, hold on. Here we go. All right, here, plant versus animal. Here, plant giant cells. All right, you see these?
Whoa.
All right, that's the cellular nature of plants. They form cells like this, and inside each one of these little blocks is a cytoplasm.
Okay.
This is the cellular membranes, and
cool picture.
Oh, hold on, that's just.
So now, what did you use to enlarge that so significantly? Is it?
No, that's not enlarged.
Oh, it's not?
People can walk through there easily.
Whoa.
Here, this is what plant cellular material looks like. You see it?
Okay, yes.
You see these tunnels here?
Yes.
Those are the tunnels you see all over the earth. In those tunnels, you saw the things where you had all those little, you see up here?
Yes.
That was what we were looking at before in that cave. They hollow these out and they make houses in each one of these pockets. On Earth, you need a microscope to see this.
Okay.
But when they were here and these plants were alive, a person could walk in there.
Oh my God, that's wild.
Yeah, it is. The Earth is a carcass of creatures, 100% zero anything else.
Well, and think about it, there's so much evidence talking about the giants. That's why I'm not surprised. I'm just, I'm more like in awe that the information's finally coming out where we can sink our teeth into it, you know?
Well, here, I'm going to show you what the tendon stuff is here. Tendon.
And don't forget the dragon.
Oh, yeah, the dragon. Hold on. I forgot all about that. It's a good thing you were here to remind me. Hold on. I got to find the dragon.
I know everybody will want to see it.
I have there?
Now, where did you find this dragon? Did you find it physically?
Well, you know what? Here, let's just do it on Google Earth.
Okay.
Because it's in Morocco, and this puppy here is 900 miles long.
I think I
says that
about this.
It says it right in the ancient text that it covered virtually the earth at that time.
Whoa.
Yep, here's my little buddy right here. Wait do you see this? Wait do you see this? This will blow your mind. Look at this. I'm going to start right in here. This will knock your socks off. Don't ever step in this stuff. You see this? You ever see anything like this?
Oh.
Well, guess what that is? That's what ran out of his mouth when he died. And here is his mouth. Hold on. Here's my little buddy right here. Here's his head. You see it?
Oh, yeah.
Flutes on the side of his neck. You see these fluty things? Here's his neck. Look at this. This is the neck, and here's the scales of his neck.
Oh my God.
Now watch this. This goes for 900 miles. Look at this. Look at all these scales of this dragon. All the way, look at that. This is all dragon scales, and I can even see where he mixes the stuff to kill people with. Look at this. You got any of that in your backyard? I don't think so.
Wow.
Get your chin back off the floor there, sweetie. Hold on. Look at this. You ever see the fluty little things that run on the side of dragons? It runs all the way down his neck. You see the stuff that goes off his back?
Yeah.
Snake's heads on his back. Now, let's go all the way down. Follow his head. Here, we're going to go all the way down his neck because this takes forever. It goes all the way, here's where he mixes up the stuff to spit out at people. And now here's his whole body.
Uh-oh.
Here, let me come in a little closer here. So here we go. Here he is up here. Here's his legs. All this red is the blood from where, see this effluent is all around him?
Yeah.
If you come in closer, you'll see that as he dies and all this goo, see, runs off his body.
Wow.
That's just exactly what happens when a creature dies. It gushes stuff and it leaches all around his body.
Yeah, bodily fluids, yeah.
So here we come all the way down his neck. And I'm going to just go to his tail so that we get all the way, because his tail ends up over here. Now, let's go down here and I'll show you the same dragon stuff down here. You see that in your backyard? No.
Wow.
You see what's running out of here? This is all stuff from his body. The fluids, see the fluids are all running off his body.
Wow.
That's 950 miles long. And then I found a heart over here in Saudi Arabia yesterday, a couple days ago.
Oh my God, that's just gonna make the
border of Jordan right here. This is a heart. You got to get in there, and look at this careful. But there's things that, I know what to look for. I can't find it right here right now, but I have a video. Here, I'll show you some other stuff.
You've been doing this a really long time. But what you're also showing me is when you're looking at the satellite vision of the Earth, those waterways, they do look a lot like capillaries.
Yeah, the whole Earth is, they said, but look at this.
Oh my God.
That's in Russia.
And it looks like it's got scales.
Yes, it does. Look everywhere. Look all over. The whole thing is scales.
Wow.
I mean, I got so much stuff that's unbelievable here.
That is fascinating.
Well, we found a chimera too, the chimera. You know what that is?
Uh-huh. Well, tell the audience what that is, though, just to make sure.
It's a creature with two heads. One of them is like a lion's head, and another one is like an antelope. And we found that, and there's just no question about it. And it's right outside of Göbekli Tepe. It's about 2 miles from the Göbekli Tepe site. Now, there's, they should talk about Göbekli Tepe, yada, yada. Well, it got covered up and it was no longer in use. And I think it might have been a sacrificial area to what was they talked about, the chimera who would come down and say, hey, I need some people to eat. bring them on down here and bring them to me over at Gobekli. I'll meet you there. Well, one day they killed them, and that was it. Bury the place. We hated it. Let's go on.
Wow.
That's all I can tell you.
That's crazy. So you're saying, so basically, there isn't a part of the earth that you're not finding these creatures.
The earth is a carcass of creatures. The earth was made of 12 titans. That is a mythological story, and that is absolute fact. Somebody sent me a story, the whole Norse mythology today, a whole history of the North. It says it started out as creatures. The whole earth, every mythology starts with the earth is made of creatures. Look at this. I got to show you this. This is hilarious. You see this fabulous rock? It's cut in half.
Okay.
That's a kidney. Now, if you look right up here, if you take a kidney, you see this little scruffy stuff up here?
Yeah.
It enters, the stuff comes in here and it cleans itself, and then it goes back out here. This is a kidney cut in half. And these, when they petrify in certain conditions, and this is in geothermal with certain types of chemistry that's in the waters of that geothermal area, it makes these absolutely fabulous things. Where do you see the heart? I'll show you a heart.
So do you feel like some parts of the world are better fossilized locations than others?
Yes and no. Every one of them has the mud fossils. Hold on, let me think, concentrate here for one second. They all have the mud fossils, but where you have like the opalized stuff, it's all where there was giant, huge amounts of blood. Opals, yeah, ABCD.
Opals actually come from the blood of creatures?
Opals are every opal was a creature or a shell or something. It's all organic, and then it gets invaded. Hold on, L-N-N-O-P. Here we go. Opal heart. Now, watch this. You see this heart? This is a heart cut right in half. Now, this comes from Australia. It's called from the Yoa. It's a Yoa opal nut, they call it, which is, these are terrestrial creatures. They're not from the oceans. And they have fossilized in puddles of blood. Wow. And what happens is blood has transition metals in it, which those metals are able to go in and keep bonding and debonding. They call it carboxylation and decarboxylation. So the metals come in there and they say, hey, anybody need some copper? And this guy over here says, yeah, I need some copper. So come over here and it attaches and it says, are we stable? He said, well, not really. I'd rather have zinc. He said, well, I'm going to stay with you for a while. Is that all right? I said, yeah, you stay with me, but if zinc comes, you're done. And sooner or later, zinc comes by and it turns blue. So they can take a chemical on and then they can give a chemical up. And that is why you are alive, is because of transition metals. And they think they're just trace elements. They are the only thing in your body that allows you to live, because they are the delivery agents that deliver the food and every bit of the oxygen and everything through the blood and through the bodily fluids. They pick up all the garbage and bring it back and trash it, and they do all the jobs because they can give and take, and they're not paying any attention to this. Well, maybe they're paying attention, but there's a lot of more attention to pay. And I'm going to tell you right now, here's what I'm telling you could happen. They're talking about fixed health care. Fix the healthcare system. I say fix the health.
Yeah.
Fix the healthcare system. Fix the freaking health. And all you got to do is go in and look at this. You know that there's a certain chemical nature to that particular ventricle wall, or these heartstrings. They call these the heartstrings. And the blood obviously has to have. And what happens is when you send in what's called a fluoroscope. Now, fluoroscope, they call them X-ray fluoroscopes. If you go into something and you hit it with this X-ray fluoroscope, it will show you the color of what is in that tissue. Now, if it comes back, instead of this being greenish here, it comes back as pink. Well, your heart is not working right. And what does pink mean? Pink means, here, and I'll show you the transition color. Pink would mean that maybe you have too much vanadium, or maybe you don't have enough sodium, whatever it is.
Sure.
But this is how you could tell what your actual conditions are. And not only that, you can see it in the blood. And
so,
all you have to
Roger,
do,
let me ask you something.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to certain parts, especially because I'm a rock collector, I love to go to places like Montana and Wyoming because the colors of the rocks are so much different than down here in Southern California. Southern California, they tend to be, you know, like lighter, more of like a sand color. You know, you might get quartz and that kind of thing, but you don't get all the really rich, beautiful colors up, you know, in some of the other locations. Is that what you're saying then? You know, it's more colorful there because there's more fossils there?
It was blood. It was because they were fossilized in blood. And I show you something right now. Where do you see this? This is going to be, let me see, this is from China.
Whereas like Southern California would be probably more under the ocean, right?
Well, you're in the mud area, that type of thing.
Okay.
Let me just see this. Hold on a second. China. So we've seen the dragon. You're okay with the dragon, right?
Oh yeah, that was amazing. So if people want to look that up, they go to the Morocco location and then just kind of zoom in.
Just fish around it. You can't miss it. I mean, the thing's 900 miles. It's all of Morocco almost. Now look at this. You see what you're seeing here?
Wow.
That is blood. That is the reason this is a tendon. This is a tendon
Oh my God.
from a creature. And I'm talking about a tendon in you need a microscope to see. Now, and they are all over the earth. Now, what happened here was this fossilized in blood. And that's why they are so exquisite, the variegation of the tissues. You see how you see yellow, then blue, then green, and this is how specific your tissues are. So this is why I say they could go with a fluoroscope and see all these things and tell, is this green or is this yellow or is it, you know, that type of thing. You see these little black spots here?
Yes.
That's where the blood goes. That's where the blood goes in there to feed these.
And you actually were able to prove through DNA that this was, or I should say maybe is, a living creature.
It's not living, it's dead now, and it is fossilized, and I can't prove, well, I could prove it through DNA, but I haven't proved this through DNA. My stuff I have, yes.
But isn't it still, you know, how do we define whether it's
well, watch here. Let me show you how I claim this is true.
Okay.
All right. Now, that you see that tendon, right?
Yeah.
Okay, look at it carefully. Now, let me go back here and we will see something else.
Beautiful. Is it really that colorful?
Oh, absolutely.
That's in China, huh?
It's just like an opal. Now, where was I looking here? Tendon.
True. Oh my God. So all of these beautiful rocks and minerals that we collect, they're actually body parts.
Exactly.
That just blows my mind. You said something about how geology is actually speculation. You feel that geology is just speculating. It doesn't have any.
Geology is 100% wrong.
Wow.
Geology is not even close. Not one single word of geology is correct. Not a word. James Hutton, I believe was his name. He was the father of geology, and he went out to Sicker Point in Scotland. And he found that there was rocks twisted up in the air and sideways and this and that. And he says that only can happen because they push together. Mm-hmm. Well, that's obviously not true. This is what happened. They grow like this because that's a human. And as a matter of fact, they call it foliations of the earth. And the foliations of the earth are identical to every single body part and tissue type.
Wow.
muscles, and even they call it sinuous, and they even go by the terms of the body because they're identical. And they just can't understand. They just cannot get it through their heads. It's true.
So now what we're looking at here is actually another rock?
No, this is a body part.
It's a body part. Okay.
This is the tendon that was what you just saw in that gigantic, colorful one.
Got it. Okay.
You see the similarity?
Yes.
Now, if this was fossilized in blood, it would take on those colors. That's just, and I have a guy in Australia right now. We're doing experiments on it right now. And
hey, Roger, tell people about Devil's Tower.
all right, Devil's Tower. Let's go look that puppy up.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got it here. Oh, wait. I got to show you this one first. These are hairs. That is a hair.
Oh my God. Now, how do you know that? Like, you having so much experience in doing this and discovering these, how do you did you just instantaneously know that was?
I know every single molecule now. I am so intimate with rocks that they're the only thing on the face of the planet I understand. Watch this.
Hey, that's good. At least it's one thing that you fully understand, right?
You see this down here? That's clay.
Right.
That's called kaolin clay. And that is skin. That's skin. And this is the hair. And I'm going to show you some more. And kaolin clay comes in all the same, identical same colors as the body types. It comes in black, you know.
Oh my God.
It's same colors. I'll show you all. Here. I wish I didn't have to keep going to this, but hold on. Here's kaolin clay.
While he's looking for that, I just have to read this quote that Roger said. He says, "Life as an alternative geological process leads to observed mineral concentrates and rock formations." The document he talks about is the electro-mud fossilization by natural, spontaneous electric potentials. Wow.
Well, it's really simple. I threw all that stuff in to impress academics. All it means is when you get mud and it's so fine and it's mud and it stays wet. That's the key. They go looking in the sand. They're looking for all dried up bones. And I've been drafting for 5 years. Why are you going looking there? The natural part of the body is inside of your veins and arteries. Those are almost like glass tubing. If you never get dry, the body doesn't even know you're dead. You're supposed to stay wet. So if you get covered in mud and it's so fine and the particulates are so tiny, and that's the key, and it stays wet, what happens is the water moving through that fine stuff, and I worked with a guy up in Canada, nanotechnologies guy. What happens is the water has a polarity. Water is a polar molecule. As it filters through this polar platey silicates, they also are polar, it creates tiny little molecular currents. They call them telluric currents.
Okay.
So the Earth itself is creating these tiny little currents. Mm-hmm. Well, these transition metals I'm talking about they're highly mobile. Those are the identical same things they use as semiconductors, which is my background. The transition metals are the semiconductors. So they're pushing and pulling and doing all this with these electric currents. So as soon as you die or a creature dies, they are surrounded with water, which is the current producer, and the mud, which seals it and keeps it anaerobic, away from the oxygen, which the oxygen is literally the combustor of everything. You're literally burning at a very slow rate.
Okay.
If it was rapid oxidation, you would combust and literally burn, but you're slowly burning. So it keeps the oxygen away, so it's preserved in that manner. Secondly, because of the electric currents, it pushes oxygen onto the silicon, which is 50 times more silicon in your skin than the rest of your body. So the silicon in your skin is Si, silicon. The electric currents push O2, oxygen, onto that silicon and makes it SiO2, which is sand. It is a platy polar silicate, and your whole outside of the creature turns into literally shingles of silicon sand. And now those are independent little molecules, and they erode, and the sand of our oceans is skin cells.
Oh my God.
We figured I'd hit you with the big banger there, you know?
So, okay, so the clay that you're showing me 4 different colors.
That's the skin colors of people, and those are the skull colors of the skin that surrounds your hairs. Now, let me show you some hair that is a little bigger than the average hair that you see in your average house. Let's see some, let me see, this was at, oh man, where was this? Lake,
So basically, you've taken a lot of heat for this.
Oh yeah.
I know you have. You've talked to me about it. And you said you've gone to several universities and they've just laughed you out of the room, right?
Well, they refuse to discuss it because I have them cornered, and they are literally, they cannot discuss this because they have nothing to stand by, absolutely nothing.
Well, it's even more than that, Roger. If they were to open up to this, it would make their entire operation. Wow, that's a cool picture.
All right, now wait a minute. That's above the ground. You see those?
This is a what?
Those are hairs.
Oh my God.
Now, and that is the kaolin clay. Now, that's the above ground shot. Let me show you this.
And where is that?
This is your Crowley Lake.
Crowley Lake.
That is below ground.
Wow.
Those are the hairs. And you see the black and the red? That's characteristic of the FeO2 and the FeO3 blood. The black blood is the blood that's already been used. It goes from the brown and it goes from red to brown to black, and the black ends up going back to be rejuvenated. And those are the hairs. And this is the kaolin clay.
Wow. Wow. So, okay, back to Devil's Tower.
Oh yeah, Devil's Tower. See, keep me on track. Keep me on track.
I will.
Hold on, let me see.
So basically, it says here that you dispute mineral recrystallization by flocculation.
That's what they here's what the academics say.
Okay.
They say that recrystallization by flocculation happens. And I say, what does that mean? All the little crystals all come back together by themselves. They flocculate like birds. I said, what is the process that happens there? Why does that happen? Well, it just happens. And then they don't want to talk about it anymore. It doesn't happen that way. It's grown that way. These crystals are every bit of your body has an architecture. And hold on, let me get to that giant tendon.
And a brilliant architecture at that.
Yeah, here, I show you tendon fibers. Here we go, tendon fibrils. All right, here we go. Now, you see that? This is what a tendon is. You see here these little hexagon-looking things? Mm-hmm. That's what every one of the fibers in a tendon is like. And they are made out of mineral. And they are made out of a mineral that's literally stone. It's called CaCO3, calcium carbonates. And those are limestone basalts. And there's almost no blood in these.
Okay.
And see all the way down here, they get down to here, these little fibrils. Way down here, those are almost in the angstrom units. You can't hardly even see them. And those are the fibers that are in Devil's Tower there.
Amazing.
And they come out of the foot. And I will show you that. Hold on.
Oh, God. That's wild.
Tendon. Oh, here, wait. I got to show you this one. Now, you see that? You see these? What? Look at this structure right here. Don't, this thing about which is younger, that doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
Look at this structure. You see these little things and the red slurpy in between?
Yes.
These are tendons. These are tendons. Now, I'm going to show you what tendons look like in creatures.
It totally opens up a whole new world to us, doesn't it?
Well, you got that right.
You can never see things the same after this video, guys.
Here, let me see here. I'm just going to run down this. These are the kind of tendons we're looking at. And what happens is they break right up here. That's called an abrupt transition. All the plateaus out west, those aren't washed away things. Those are feet that were stuck in the mud. As they drowned, they were standing up trying to stay afloat, and they drowned, stuck in the mud. The feet are stuck to about here, and you see these plateaus coming up. And then you have an abrupt transition right at the top. Water comes pouring out of the top of these things through the arterial tubing that runs down into the ground. And that's how all of these big structures were made. The pyramids were built upside down. The pyramids were built, and I'll show you how the pyramids were constructed. The pyramids were built from above. And,
I just love it. I'm like speechless because.
Here, watch this. Here, look at this. You see this? This is how the pyramids started out. They're built from above and moved downwards. You see these things here? You see those? Those are actually blocks. Every one of those little tiny blocks. They didn't cut all these things. They just picked them up off the ground. None of the blocks they see cut were cut. Even the ones at Baalbek, those huge ones, those are tendons that came off of things like this.
Wow.
It's a fact. The tendon ones were not cut whatsoever, not even a taste. They picked them up off the ground and put them down. 300-ton tendon bits. Now you see the water that's running out of here?
Yeah.
You see it runs over here, it runs over here,
yeah.
It runs over here. Those are the arterial passageways. And the arteries have no restrictions in it. So this guy's foot, and this is the foot of a guy, his foot was in the ground, and when a wet season comes, it forces the water up through here because the arterial pressure, I wonder how they got that name, arterial,
yeah.
artesian, right, pushes this up.
True, that's true. So where we see the flat surface, how far up on the ankle or foot would that be?
It's called an abrupt transition. I'll show you the architecture here.
Okay.
The abrupt transition is hold on.
Unbelievable.
All right, here's the abrupt transition. You have the tendon.
Can you enlarge it, Roger?
Pardon me?
Can you enlarge it?
Oh yeah.
Let's bring it up. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. You remember we saw over at the thing down in the Mount Roma area down in Venezuela, all this. Look, this is what it looked like on the side of that big foot I just showed you.
Yes.
You see that looking stuff?
Uh-huh.
All right. That right there is this tiny little bitty spot, 2 microns. I mean, these are just tiny little things in us. In those, these are the blocks that made up the pyramids.
Whoa.
These are the exact same blocks. They just picked them up and put them together. And I know that for a fact, too, because the Institute of Polytechnic, something, whatever they do.
Yeah, Polytech.
Polygenomics. No, something like that.
Okay.
But they did a study on the pyramids, and they found that the pyramids were made out of tendinous. Well, they're made out of calcium carbonate, CaCO3, which they think are marine limestone. But then they said the only thing difference is they have kaolin clays. Well, the kaolin clay is the skin. So the ones in the pyramids are made from limestone, from this stuff right here, from skin-covered limestone. And that is a fact, and it's a chemical fact, so there's no question. Now, here's the abrupt transition. You see this where it turns from here? They snap right on these transitions.
Okay.
And then you get, see this purple here?
Yeah.
That's the abrupt transition. That's such a flat, it's just as flat as a pancake. And that's how they break. So, and I have them here too, and I have them in my microscope. You can see them go right from the boardy looking stuff. See how these things are straight looking lines here?
Yes.
That's exactly what they are. They're straight looking lines. And then they come into a little gooey spot right in here where they transition. And then they go into the tendinous stuff over here. And then they end up investing into the bone. And that's what they do. And the earth is made of this, and I mean made of it. And you look around, and I'm talking you, the ones I'm showing you, Mount Romeria is a good size one, yes. But that is not exceptional. That's not exceptional.
So you found like just about every organ you can think of? You found
Everything.
livers and...
I got everything. You want to see something here? I'll give you a quick one here that everybody will notice.
Because you've shown me a heart, you've shown me a kidney.
How about this?
Oh, that's the one I wanted you to go over. Yeah. Now, can you enlarge that too, Roger? It'll be clear. Thanks.
Sure, why not? Now, here, listen to this now. Here's the cool part.
This is amazing, guys. Get ready to have your mind blown.
Listen to this. Now, everybody sort of, most people understand what this is. Now, it's a vagina. Now, you see this little tiny line that goes up here?
Yes.
That little line is what's called the vegetal seam in a human being.
Okay.
You ever heard that before? No.
Vaginal seam?
No, the vegetal like vegetation.
Oh,
Now watch this. Now watch this. That seam is where your body builds itself. Hold on. All right, here we go. Whoops.
Make sure you enlarge them when you open them.
All right, you see this?
There you go. Perfect.
This is how your abdomen grows when you are a fetus. At a certain number of cells, this is a ball, like a regular round ball originally.
Okay.
Then it collapses itself like a rubber ball collapses, and then this at the bottom. Can you see where my cursor is?
I think so.
You see it, figure 30?
I'm trying to figure out if I can move this photo.
Well, I can go to any order. You see the seam here? Where they pinch together?
Yes.
That's called the vegetal seam, and that is what you're seeing running up the middle of that vagina. That is the seam that makes your abdomen fuse together. Now, I want to show you something. You think that puppy is good size?
Where was that?
That is in Romania, I believe, somewhere. It was the Thracians honored it, and they cut the steps into the bottom of it, and they worship there. Hold on, here we go. Oi, 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 oi. Stand back.
Whoa.
That's a vagina. Now, the way I know that is you see all of these are different guys. This is not the same guy.
Okay.
You see his arms going this way and his arms going that way. They're all different guys. And I have gone on a 3D tour of this thing, on a 3D digital tour. And you can go into the fallopian tubes. This baby is unbelievable. You see this over here?
Yes.
You see my cursor? That's the vegetal seam.
Mm.
That's the architecture of a vagina. There is that scruffy looking stuff there. Trust me. Anyway, all of this.
So Roger, let me ask you something. When you're doing your research, do you scrape off a little bit of the rock when you do the DNA testing? How do you go about doing that?
The DNA testing, what happens, I've only done 3 DNA tests, and I've done them on the ones that I have here to verify the structure, the texture, that I am truly in these arterial networks, and extracting the correct things. See, they go and they wipe the outside of a rock or do whatever they want. They're not going to get anything. It's just dirt on the outside. There's nothing there. I know where the blood runs. I know where the arteries are. I know where the veins are. I know what to look for, and it's always red or rusty in where the arterial stuff is. Now I can show you, I have rocks that have blood literally dripping on it. But when I go into the ones I did of mine, I went in deep. Of course, you have to make sure the tools are all taken care of correct. You do it under, with gloves and masks and all this stuff, under plastic, and you drill in deep and you extract something that is deep inside out of an arterial network.
Got it.
And now you have sort of mineralized, chunky little chunks of blood. Then what they do is they go through a tremendous amount of work at the lab, and they put it in with enzymes, and they put all kinds of primers and this and that, and they let it grow, and all kinds of temperatures, and they're very, very, very sophisticated. And then they match that up on these little spectral slides, and they come up with a profile. Then they send that off to the database plate with the Eaton Labs in New Jersey, who does the sequencing, and then they run it against the world database of genomics. And it turns out to be modern human mitochondrial DNA. There was 2 regions that had over 100 base pairs in each region, which is dense for ancient DNA, because I took it right out of freaking blood. All these other people, they're taking out of old scraps of dead bones. I'm taking it out of here. Here's what I'm taking it out of. I'll show you.
I'm just, wow.
How about this for some?
So, it gives, for the spiritual community, Roger, we notice that when we go to areas that are very, very rich, red sienna soil, we notice that those typically have a higher energetic frequency.
Well, I can tell you, so I understand what you're saying. Go ahead, continue on. I didn't mean that.
Well, so I'm just kind of rethinking that would be where you're saying a lot of blood was spilled.
Well, do you know that Ayers Rock in Australia, that is a heart?
Yes, that's a heart.
Absolutely, no question whatsoever. Zero question.
Okay.
That, of course, is extremely sacred to the Aboriginals.
Yes.
Now, you see what you're looking at here? There's 2 lungs here. The one on your right has all of what they call a pleura, which is the fascia that coats that lung. The one on the left is down to the lobes and the actual structure of the lung. When I took that out of the ground, you see up above in the little
black box?
Yeah, the little box there. That's what leaked out of this lung. Now, I had this one over here DNA tested, and it's 100% human. So, I mean, they are what they are. I got lungs coming out of my ears. Lungs. Well, here's the deal. Lungs protect. Here's what preserves things. Blood. The more blood, the better the preservation. And because the blood does that chelation thing, which is not chelation, it's actually chelation. Anyway, it's the blood protects the structure of everything. And I've made my own mud fossils here doing exactly what does in nature. I've created my own.
What a trip. So, okay, question. Yeah. I'm going to lift up this rock. I want you to look at it.
Okay.
It's really heavy. It's like 40 pounds. Oh my God. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it?
Yeah, I could see it, but I need some other shots of it.
Okay.
It's kind of heavy, huh?
Oh, it's really heavy.
I would say that's the internal part of a lung. Keep moving around. Yeah, that would be a lung for sure.
And I've just never seen anything like it because it's got so many pieces.
Those are the places inside the lung that are the pockets in the lung.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Hold on, I might have some better shots like that.
Wow. I've always wondered.
Well, this is the lung.
Somebody told me this is a meteorite.
I don't think so.
Well, how?
It's hard to see because you got to really take shots from every angle. But you see this here on the lung, what you're going to find usually, if it still has any fabric on it, you'll find one end will have a red little blobby spot on the end.
Okay.
There's a fascia flab here, and then on the other very end there'll be a little tip that'll be like this reddish color where it breaks into this crust.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And I noticed there's like a white. There's kind of like a white crystal vein through it. Are the white crystal veins actually representing the arteries themselves?
Well, when they're white, they are normally, and they're filled up with crystal, like white crystal, like quartz. Those are usually arteries, yes, because here's what happens. When you die or a creature dies, their body literally pressurizes. You know what happens. You ever see a body when it bloats?
Yes, I have.
The battlefield pictures of guys, they bloat it up like a balloon. Well, what happens is your arteries are open tubing. There is no restrictions to your arteries. Your veins are different. Your veins have what they call them vein valves. And the veins can only go one direction. And when you compress your body, they pinch off and they won't let the blood blow out. So the arteries are the places that the blood flows out of. They'll blow out of your fingertips because your fingertips are extremely infused with blood.
Yes.
It'll blow out of your all of your orifices in your body, your eyes, your anus, all kinds of places through your neck with the arteries of your neck. So this is the places I look for these because their arteries are there. You're not going to miss them. You cannot miss them. The arteries are there. They'll either be open or red or rusty, or filled with clear crystal because they've been purged. Now the vein will be very, very close because that's the nature of the vein. It's right near your artery. They run together virtually all the time. And it will be black like you see the black here?
Yeah. Well,
that's the kind of black you're going to see. This is the inside of a lung.
Oh, okay.
Now, yours is probably very similar to this, is what I saw.
Yeah, because it's just, it looks like something exploded. Yeah,
well, see here, this is the inside of a lung, and all of these are where the blood was, and some was mixing with the other stuff, and they're very. You can see there's a lot of chemistry going on there.
God, I have so many. So what about what about this? This is called banded iron.
Yeah, that's some form of blood. Anytime you see iron, it's blood.
It's blood. Interesting.
Yeah. Now, how much blood it was, I don't know.
It's from Arizona, and then I have another.
Comes from. See, here's the thing: every creature comes from the tiniest creatures. I've got lungs and hearts that you can't hardly even see, and then I've got them where there's nobody in the world could pick it up. So it was a literal zoo. Okay, you're right there. That's a vein and an artery right there. The one on the one should be dark. The one on the right looks like one will be dark and one will be a little rustier color. You see that?
Wow.
And that's the vein and artery. Yeah.
So this is the other side.
That's the other side. Let's see.
That looks like that's got like the bone
All right, you see all, yeah, now you see that? All those little tiny holes?
Yes.
Those are tendon entices. Let me show you what they are.
Wow.
Watch this. This will blow your mind.
Wow.
Those are tendon entices points, and they are what all those giant stone balls are all over the world.
Yeah, and I want you to talk to people about that, because aren't they saying that they thought people created those, but you're saying that they're actually natural?
They're natural.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to look for it. Hold on. All right. These are...
This is so cool.
Yeah, let's see.
So all the real pretty, the pretty, like, here's another one. Okay, see this one?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's got like crystals in it. It's got like little rubies in it.
Yeah, those are all little blood vessels.
Those are little blood vessels. Oh,
blood vessels.
my God.
Everywhere the red is blood. This is just blood.
Oh my God.
Now you see these stone balls?
Wow, those are cool. Where's this?
Those are the balls that are on the end of tendon straps. And I'll show you that. The tendon, here, I'm going to show you, all right. Those are the balls. These are the straps that come to them. And you hold them up. See, they're all over the place. Remember that same sort of...
Can you enlarge that, Roger?
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. Now, these feed... This is not a good shot, but this is basically what happens, is these balls invest into your skin, into your tissues, into your bone. Everything has eroded away. These are tough, because that's their nature, is to hold your tendon straps from being ripped out. Now, I'm going to show you what they look like. Here's one. See, the tendon straps, the strap would have went right up in here.
Whoa.
Okay? And now the strap erodes and they leave the balls. You see, the balls are all over the place. And there are thousands of them in every one of those. The thing that you had with all those little holes on it has hundreds of little tendon entices balls. And I'll show you the...
So this guy right here, right?
Right, and that's yeah. I have dozens and dozens and dozens of those. Hold on a second. That would be the tendon entices cluster. I got to remember all these names.
Wow. I'm looking at all the. I have so many rocks.
Here, look at this. This is what you're looking at. Those are the tendon walls that they're all over the earth.
Wow.
And every one of them connects to a little strap. You see this over here?
That's just, you know.
This is a mind blower.
So what you're thinking is that at the time of the flood, it was the land of giants, and they all just got buried in water, and they just died in whatever.
They died standing
they
up.
were in, right?
They died standing up because they were trying to say, it doesn't drown you within 10 minutes. These guys were miles tall. They're walking around the earth saying, where the hell are we going to go? So I have no idea. Some of them, a lot of them ended up on Fontainebleau, in Fontainebleau in France.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they went to the high ground, and then they ended up being stuck in the mud because they couldn't move anymore and was sticking their noses up in the air, and finally they drowned. Now, what happens then? Well, they get literally like boiled in the oceans, but no boiling, just sort of soaking for years.
Oh.
And at that point, they're floating, standing straight up. Like this guy. Hold on. Here's a giant for you.
Wow.
That died standing up, and he had clothes on. Hold on. Let me find it.
I'm looking at this one now. This is a different one. So that's got like a lot of the blood, right?
Yeah.
But there's all kinds of crystals in it.
Yep. Those are all little blood vessels. Wait, I'm going to show you a giant standing up who died in the mud. That's why I call them mud fossils, because almost all of them died standing up or drowned in the mud. Let me see.
Does it say how long it took before the water recessed? I thought I read about that a long time ago. Oh my God.
Look at his arm. His arm broke off right there. Now there's the blood running down from his arm. You can actually see the bone in there. Wow. And here's his other side here. Now, he actually had clothes on, I believe. And they did. They had, some of them had, I think, on armored suits and everything. And one guy, did you see the head? Hold on.
I saw the head on your Facebook page, and I want you to know, I found a similar head. I'm going to send it over to you in a park that I used to walk in all the time where I used to live.
Oh, really?
And I walked by it every single day. I was like, that is a head. I saw the eyes, the nose, you know, most people just walk by it and go, oh, wow, isn't that interesting? But it's
well, this one here, you would notice
so
this
obvious. Yeah, that's amazing. Where did you find this?
This is actually Jim Burchell and Arlie Caldwell down in Kentucky found this in a mud flow and from a side of a riverbank. And when they took it out of here, this is absolutely, there's no question whatsoever. I did the autopsy on it, and we had a cascade, and this is his head is crushed in here. That is the FeO3 and the FeO2, and this is called bone black.
Okay.
The bones, if you ever break a bone and inside your arm, you'll see it'll turn black. And that is the sign that you have fractured a bone, because the ferritins inside your bone leak. And that's the bone black. And he's all fractured his bones up in here. And the rust, of course, is the regular blood. Now, straight down through the top of his head is a knife blade cut. And you can see it's just exactly like the shape of a knife entry. And under here, you see over here, he has a knitted cap. This is a knitted cap. And underneath here, you can slide like a playing card or a piece of paper right up in between his head and the cap.
Oh my!
Yep, and all of the articulation. See the nose has been pushed over. I mean, everything is. There's no question. I checked everything, and all of the underneath, every spot has where the blood should be. They call them bone foramen, and the bone foramen are all in the right spot, and his eyes are correct.
So let me ask you something, Roger. If we're looking at all these old so-called monuments that they say are monuments of people from long ago, how have you looked at those to see whether they're actually like a prior creature versus they were constructed with, you know, say, I don't know, basalt and limestone and granite and things like that?
Yeah, I have. As a matter of fact, the Sphinx is a real head.
I wanted you to talk about the Sphinx next. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I don't know if I've got that here. Elemental P.
That's a biggie.
Oh yeah, here we go, Sphinx. All right. All right. Now, originally when I saw this, the eyes struck me. And the eyes I was very sure they were real, but I just never, what caught me was this blockiness. And I said, nah, somebody built this. This is not real. Well, I've come to find out the blockiness is absolutely no problem. That is how we're constructed. We are made in layers, just like a layer cake. From your toes right up to the top of your head, you are in slabs. Literally made in slabs. Just like when they take a CAT scan of you, it goes, nee, 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 nee. That's how you're made. And that's why this is cut like this.
Wow.
Now, you see here? Remember I talked about the blood blowing out? That's your arterial carotid artery, or whatever you call it.
Right there. Okay.
And that baby has blown out of there. Now, this head was put on here. That head is the real head, but the rest of it, I don't believe is correct.
Okay.
And that's why it doesn't sit right. Now, the eyes, it has nasal passageways. Hold on, let me see if I can get a different shot.
What?
I looked this over pretty close, and I'm pretty comfortable. See, here's the thing on the side. This particular stuff is the kaolin clay. This is the kaolin clay. And these little pock marks are exactly what you find. They're called areolar tissue. It's the pockety little areal. It's like spongy little material. It covers your face and your body, so it sort of slips around your body. Your skin moves around a little bit. It's not strapped to you so tight. Hold on.
What a trip.
Here's the other side that just shows this. And you see these stripes?
Yeah.
That's what got me in the beginning. I said, that can't be, but it is. It's all right.
Can you enlarge it?
Well, let me get you a better one. That wasn't good. Hold on. I got a lot of everything. Here's the one on the side. You see, this is where I believe that the blood blew out.
Whoa.
And this is the kaolin clays, and this is exactly the articulation you find on your cheeks and areas where it's puffed up a little bit. You get this pockety looking stuff, and that's just what it is. You see this? That's a nasal passageway.
Right.
Nobody put that on there. Originally, this nose was complete, and Napoleon blew his nose off when they did the campaign into Egypt. They shot it with a cannon.
Why'd they do that?
Huh?
Why did he do that?
They're morons. And there's a nasal cavity up in here. Who would put a nasal passageway up inside if they were going to build this? Nobody.
True.
Oh
my God. So.
And here's look at the eyes. The eyes are the giveaway. There's a different tissue, and if you come up close, you see his nose? It's got the passageway up in.
You're right.
This was a creature. Let me show you another head that has a lot. You can see the eyes, like, just incredible.
Wow.
It's pretty outrageous, huh?
I'm just tripping. I also want you to talk about meteors and comets, because I know you've gone down that path.
Oh yeah, they were all alive too. Here, I'll do that right now. Let's just do that because I just hit it. I go right back. Look at this. You heard me talk about the red and the black.
Yes.
You see this?
Wow.
That right there is the artery. That was red originally.
Okay.
And that's the blood. This is the vein, which is always black. Now, this is a iron meteorite. Iron smelts. It is iron in the blood configuration of a lung or a heart or whatever it originally was. And as it comes through the atmosphere, it would smelt and turn into what you see right here. It's actually like a foundry. It turns into iron. Now, they cut this in half. They hit it with acid. It etches and it shows up all the other different types of minerals and so forth that are in here. But this is the key. And they say this. NASA says this is. They found out the comet 67P is 100% biological. I'm telling that for a year. They will not communicate with me. And I have every bit of 100% proof. And they have also come up with their 100% proof, but they don't know what it means. They just say it's so organic that they can't even give it a name.
So this picture that you're showing me is, you're not talking about just the little black spots being the arteries. You're talking about this is an actual dissection.
This was a heart or a lung.
Okay.
And these are the passageways of blood that ran through it.
Okay, got it.
And once it was a big lump, and they cut it right in half, and this is what we're seeing is the half of it.
Oh God. So basically, we have creatures on this planet, but we also have creatures falling onto the planet from other locations.
Yes, everything that falls onto the earth is a body part.
Wow.
That's a lung.
That's a
And inside these lungs, this is the variegation of the lung. It's exactly the architecture, and the blood and everything's in there. You can go ahead and we got blood laying all over the earth right now of these meteorites, and they just can't get their mind in. Meteorite. Here, look at this.
It you know what I'm thinking about is, we need minerals to be in a perfect state of health. And
Absolutely.
and we need, the more minerals we have, especially the trace minerals, and if you look at them in geology, if you want to call it that, they can be exceptionally colorful. You've got your purples. I think purples are typically what, manganese.
Here, I'll show you right here. Hold on. A, B, C, H. I got them all here. It's the.
So basically, when we say healthier food to eat for us, that's more organic and it receives more of the minerals, then we're basically just eating other body parts of ancient.
Exactly. Let me tell you something. Here, I'm going to give you something to blow your mind. Kids in Haiti live on dirt. That is their entire diet, some of them. That's all they eat is dirt. Now, what they are eating is the kaolin clay. They can't just eat any dirt. And they sell kaolin clay, as they call it white dirt down south. It's very, very common. And it's actually consumed everywhere in the world, and pregnant women crave it because they're building another body and they need that structural component. Every single animal on the face of the planet eats mud. They frequent the same regional source, which is a creature's face.
Wow.
And they are eating the creature's face. And that's how they live, and that's how they supplement their diet. And in Haiti, the kids live on it, and these are the healthiest looking kids I've ever seen. And they're living in the most squalid conditions, and you want to see them. They look healthy, happy, they're running, jumping, playing in the slimiest looking conditions. So, things are much, 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 much different than we are being told.
Okay, so back to you just said something very interesting, back to the comets and the meteors.
Yeah.
So these are actual body parts from somewhere else that...
They are from the battles in space.
Okay.
And because it says in Revelations 12, after he threw the dragon, which we saw in the desert, then Michael and his angels fought the dragon and their angels, and they had ferocious battles, and woe unto the earth, because he tossed that sucker down into Morocco. And all his angels went down with him. And then they started all kinds of trouble. And he said, okay, that's it. I got to have my son go down there and straighten this out. So he says, go and have Venus create my son. Next thing you know, there's blood and things all over the universe, squirting everywhere, landing on Earth. And that is Jesus's afterbirth. God takes him and hides him in the woods with him, wherever his throne is. It says he took him up and he hid the woman in the woods, in the wilderness somewhere for 1,260 days to keep her safe from this dragon. Then they all fight like crazy. He throws them to earth, woe unto the earth. Then Jesus comes along. He says, okay, I want a son of God. So he bears a son of God, which is Venus. He feeds the Israelites. He says, all right, escape and be my guys. I want you to set up 7 churches. I want you to go around and minister to these people who are being very, very, very bad. And he said, you do this and I will give you everything. I will make you resplendent for eternity. So they go and they start doing this, and then they say, wow, man, look at all these chicks. Look at what's going on here, man. These guys are bringing us money, and we got dope, and who knows what they're doing, drinking like crazy, having sex with little kids, and turning it all against God. So he said, that's it, we're done. I'm drowning all you guys, you're over. And we're going to start over again. And he says, there's not even one good person on the face of this planet. And I'm telling you, I understand where he's coming from. And he said, you see if you can find a guy. And they said, well, there's no way, he's a pretty good guy. He said, well, all right, well, we'll go with him. So he gets him and his buddies, and they all go, and they're supposed to start the whole thing over as a perfect new place where it's good. Well, that didn't last very long.
Right.
So it just keeps going, and then they took over, and they just have lied to us ever since. And he says right in there, he says, well, here, I can show you some of the passages. It's not going to be pretty at the end for these people. They are not going to be, they're done. There's no getting out of this.
I totally agree with that.
They did not come around. They did not repent. They will not turn their eyes to the right. And
because they're heartless.
They're proud, arrogant. They're too puffed up with their own self. They're who is a God? Who is he? Come on, this is crazy. You know, I'm so much smarter than that. Well, they are in big trouble.
Well, and Roger, I want you to also, let me see, how many minutes do we have? We have about 30 minutes left.
Okay.
I really want you to get into your whole premise about how you do not believe in neutrons. You know.
Oh yeah, well that's here. Okay, let me first of all just tell you something. Here's what's going to happen to these people that are trusted to teach our kids what they're supposed to know for their lives, not just for how to add and subtract and read. And here's what he said about these people, because he knows what they're up to. He says in Peter 2:2.4, in their greed, these false teachers will exploit you with tales they have concocted. The long-standing verdict against them remains in force, and their destruction does not sleep.
So
Case closed. There's no getting out of it.
still going on today.
Yep. Now, here, I'm going to show you something right now. Let's go. I want to show you this video real quickly. And this, I will comment on it without any sound. Now, this is my, here, just so you see this. This is Mudfossil University. And this is on YouTube. And I have there's a lot of videos on it.
You do. You have a lot.
Yeah, there's a ton. And I have some other channels too, and I'm going to close those up and put stuff here. Now, I want to show you something about matter. Matter is totally not understood. Now, let me just put this up here for a second here. Now, this is just a little picture I drew. All right. Now, if you look here, this is the sun. And the sun is what radiates something down and hits our earth, and it lights it up, and it warms it, and it grows plants and all that business. And so what happens? Here's what I'm saying happens. Now, they say it's some kind of magnetic radiation. There's no matter coming through space. Nothing happens, and so forth. Well, that's wrong. What happens is the atoms that are here are so violently shaken that the cloud of electrons that it coats every nucleus gets vibrated, so shaken that it spins electrons off into space. And in space, they're spinning like this. And then eventually, because there's no nucleuses out here to interact with, they finally hit something which is the cloud of atmosphere, and they begin to cascade and crash into these nucleated atoms and bounce off of those, creating light and shaking them, which creates them to be heated. So here's your heat, here's your light. It does not occur till here. What does that mean? It doesn't mean there's nothing here. They say there's nothing here. Who could come up with that?
Yeah.
Obviously there's something here. If it left here and it ended up hitting here and making something happen here and nothing was here, that's the weakest minded thinking that I could come up with. What it is that particle is spinning here. Now, the speed of the spin determines how much impact it will have when it hits something, because if it's spinning 1,000 miles an hour, when it hits your hand, it might hurt your hand. But if it's just sort of loping along here a little bit and it bounces off your hand, it might not do much. So the low frequency colors, the reds and yellows and so forth, are from these low frequency spins, and the purples and violets and all that business are from the high frequency spins. And the ultraviolet, and you can burn your eyes and everything else with this stuff, because the higher the spin rate, the more that thing literally weighs. That's the fact, and that is the mass. Now, the the moon re-radiates. So it comes out here, hits the moon, it re-radiates the light in a very minimal amount, and so it only creates red and darker colors. From moonlight, blood looks black. You cannot see red blood in the moonlight, it's black. And you can, obviously in the regular sunlight, it's red. So it's the frequency difference of the re-radiated light, because it doesn't have as much energy. That's
Right.
all it is. Now, wait till you see it. And anyway, this, let me see if I can find something else.
Well, the other thing is the moon is not an organic, you know what I mean? It's not an organic organism like the sun. Supposedly.
Well, the moon is alive. The moon is alive.
But it's supposedly a satellite.
Well, I don't know about that. It's a living creature. Absolutely no question, it's alive. And that I've looked at it very carefully. And it's alive, and it has tendons all over. They're what they call plagioclases, and it's called the highlands of the moon, which is just like the plateaus here. They're the tendons of a creature, and
Interesting.
The craters up there are not craters. Those are blood vessels, the same exact things that are on Comet 67P, identical. They're blood vessels. 99% of them are not impact craters.
So it's almost like, it's almost as if, because supposedly there's the dark side of the moon, which is, it's dipped in, right? Have you even researched the dark side of the moon?
Well, just barely, but there's things all over the moon that are they claim are structures, and they look like it to me. I think there's been people on the moon other than us.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Wait, go ahead. Go back to your negatron. I don't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Let me see what else we got here. You want to see more on the light, or where are we going to go to now? I just wanted everybody to understand your premise on the electrons, neutrons, protons, because that just yeah. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah, that blows everything out of the water right there.
Yeah, let me get to negatron.
Okay.
Because that is the point I want to make. You're right. I keep going off track. Negatrons, there is no such thing as a neutron. All right, so neutrons do not exist because they are not neutral. They don't roll around on the floor all by themselves. The neutrons are always attached to a proton, and they are negative. And there's always at least as many protons as there is neutrons. So the neutrons exceed the weight of the protons, so they have a little bit larger negative value than the proton, which means that when they combine, the effect has an excess negative charge around that nucleus. So now the other electrons come in to try to get attracted to that proton, and the excess negativeness says, hey, you're a negative, man. You got to stay out of there. You're going to stay out at 16 angstroms from here. That's your quantum state. Do not come closer than here. And it will stay 16 angstroms away, or whatever the distance is that dictates the number of neutrons that are in that nucleus. Now, then the next electrons will come and it says, hey, I want to get into that proton. And say, no, 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 no. He says, no, you can't go. And I'm staying here. I'm at 16. You're going to have to stay out there at 28. He's all right, we'll wait out here at 28. So that's how your shells are built around your nucleus. So the nucleus is a negatron and a proton, or a number of them. But there is no neutrons. Forget neutrons. There's absolutely no neutrons. Now,
Crazy.
Hydrogen has no proton.
Wow.
They say that hydrogen is only a proton and one electron. Well, that's insanity, because the electron will get sucked into that positive charge so quickly that it would explode. Because the electron is 1,800 times smaller than the nuclear particles, which are the protons and negatrons, which from now on, there's no more neutrons. So I'm going to always say negatron, because forget neutrons. So the electron is 1,800 times smaller than any of the particles that are in the nucleus, which is the negatrons and the protons. So what you actually end up having is a negatron and an electron, no proton. That keeps the electron in its orbital at a very good distance from the nucleus, and it makes hydrogen extremely combustive.
Huh.
Because there is a tremendous amount of energy locked up in that.
Wow. Interesting. Hey, I gotta hear your perspective on this.
On death. I know, yeah, I got that down pat.
What is your concept of how everything began? Because I read that you don't believe in Big Bang or anything like that.
That is the weakest argument in the face of history. Big Bang says, well, everything just exploded from nothing. And then, there was all hydrogen, but hydrogen actually isn't really hydrogen because it doesn't have any neutrons, and neutrons aren't real anyway. But if it didn't have neutrons, where did neutrons come from? Because it was all hydrogen in the beginning, so really you didn't have enough stuff to get started with. And then they say, well, don't worry about that. It all came somehow, it all got back together again. It's okay, so it all came back together again and just started collecting by itself. And then it just started shaking around and bumping each other, and then what happened? And they started making, houses and cars and jetliners and poetry and, hating each other. And
well, so what about the dark versus the light? How do you see those two interacting?
All right, here we go. Here we go, right down that rabbit hole. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, hold on tight, because they got a lot of people going to be upset.
That's okay.
I read every single thing there is to read, as far as, because I want to get out of this thing alive. You understand what I'm saying? I want out alive. They all said, no, nobody gets out alive. Bullshit. I'm getting out alive. If you read enough, you will be with me. All right. Here's what happens. And here's what happened. This is what it says. It's so broadly written that if you pay attention to the Gnostic texts, which are hundreds of, 850 texts in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the Nag Hammadi was like books and books and books. And then they had the Apocryphal of St. Peter was found not long ago. And then they just recently found Judas was not really even a bad guy.
Yeah.
Now, think of this. Think of this. These all talk of the end times, and all of these Gnostic texts were the words of Jesus, the literal words of Jesus when he was alive. His buddy Didymus Thomas wrote down, who was doubting Thomas, wrote down, Jesus said this, Jesus said this, Jesus said this, just like he was writing down notes. Mm-hmm. And that is the first text that exists of Christian anything. Now, number one says, Jesus said, look forever. Keep looking until you find. And then when you find, you will be disturbed. And then when you are disturbed, you will marvel. And then you will reign over everyone. It's and then it says, the first one was, the one that finds the one that understands the meaning of these words will not taste death. And then it goes on to say, and he gets very, very tricky with the words. And there's 113, I think, 113 sayings. We talked about this. Remember we talked about the time? Yeah, I'm telling you, the Gnostic text will knock your socks off.
I know. There's people that's all they do is just study that all day long.
You have to. These are the ones that they took, and they banned these from the Bible.
Yeah.
Now, why did they ban them? Why would you take out Enoch, the guy that was God's best friend, who actually spoke to God and wrote down what he says? Enoch, write this stuff down. Write this down. I want you to tell these people what the rules are.
Right.
I'm going to tell them what, if they don't follow the rules, I want you to go down to hell and see what's going to happen to them. And he went down to hell and he said, who are these people screaming in extreme pain and lamentation? And they said, those are the people that did not listen. Those are the people that did not think this was real. Those are the people that we are punishing for eternity. And I said, not me. No. I'm going a different way. And if you read enough and you think enough and you follow what it says in there, you're going to get out of this. And what it says is Pistis Sophia, who actually is Gaia. She created the earth and did it against the authority of God and stole the light and came down and mated with Yaldabaoth, she created this atmosphere, the earth, unauthorized, and stole the light. And Yaldabaoth is the leader of the death camp, of hell. And he is in control of this earth. He was the God that set up this earth. And she begs Jesus for forgiveness. And that's called the repentances of Pistis Sophia. And he finally does forgive her. But she came down, she mated with chaos and so forth, and ended up having, they did nothing but fighting and killing and cutting each other's genitals off. And I mean, just absolute chaos on the earth. And then Jesus, and then they said that we're going to get this power back because this is the dark side and you're going to come back to the light. And so Jesus comes down from the light, who is 100% light. He has no matter whatsoever. And that is what we will end up being.
Yes.
Because we're here in go ahead, you have something to say?
Well, so going back even further than that, where do you think it all began regarding the light and the dark?
Well, that part it's called the ineffable, which is, there's nothing that can speak of God because there was nothing before God to speak of him. You can't name God because he was here before there was names. So God is, and this is what Jesus says. He says he's everything, and I am his guy. I'm his son. I'm the guy that takes care of everything. He is everything. So God to me is literally the living universe, and Jesus is his guy, and Jesus is like his lieutenant. He comes down and he does everything and says, okay, here's how we're going to handle this. And he was a loving guy, and I think, he must communicate with God somehow and get his orders to what he should do. And I am telling you, somewhere in those texts, and I can't remember, I'm trying to find it again, Jesus said, if I'd have listened, I would have never come down to try to help these people.
Yeah. Well, and, to be a very high, luminescent, pure being of light, and to come down into a third dimension. We're not talking like 10th. We're talking 2 levels away from zero.
We're in the gutter. This is the gutter.
Totally in the schlop.
Yep.
Well, I was still kind of not going in that direction. I was thinking more in terms of, because of your chemistry background and that kind of thing. I was just curious what you thought about, supposedly there was a sea of life, which is like pure potentiality. Some people call it dark matter, even though it's not really matter. It's just the pure potentiality of the isness. And just curious what you thought as far as how that interacts in the very, very beginning with a spark of light.
So you're talking about animation.
Yes, like in the very, very, very beginning.
I've given that a lot of thought, and it's tricky because the light, how in places it says he separated the light from the light. Well, the light is literally water too. Light is a liquid, and there's light that's dark light. So dark matter and dark energy is the light as it passes from the sun to the earth. So he separated that dark light from the light of the earth, which is the growing light, the earth is growing exponentially fast. Because as it's being hit with these electrons, they are staying here 99% of them. So, as you see things grow, the earth is growing right along with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is the animating breath of God. And that is what floods the universe with that life-giving food, literally. It's the life-giving essence, animating essence of life. And there is no other possibility other than the fact that life and molecules and atoms are intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way that they can possibly do the things that they do by bumping into each other. It's just ridiculous to think of that. So the things that are done have to have some form of communication. I don't know how it's done, but they are saying to each other, hey, I need 17 molecules of carbon over here. Anybody got some carbon? And they will come over and do it. And they are working just like a construction team works. And the molecules bring things, they deliver things, they take things away. It's not an accident. That's why I say, that's the kind of thinking that is insanity, to think that, that's evolution. Oh yeah, it just happens.
Well, if the more the science community uses accident, the more they keep us in the dark. You know what I mean? Because it's just, you can't explain it, so don't ask because it's just an accident,
Well, I'm explaining things and they will not confront me. And I have the evidence, and I have the stuff. There's nothing they can't confront me because I have stuff that it's unimpeachable. So they want to maintain their expert status and their stranglehold on the pocketbooks of the kids that are leasing their literal lives to these people,
mm-hmm.
going out taking loans so that they can become validated by ones that don't even care enough to look at DNA evidence that completely shows that what they're saying isn't true. The evidence that I have is that you cannot view it and walk away. In a court of law, you would never, ever, ever, ever prevail against it.
Mm-hmm.
So they will ignore this because it destroys the things they are saying. And the things they are saying are literally criminal lies.
Yeah.
And I say they are criminal because they have a fiduciary duty, because the students are the most vulnerable people on the face of this planet. They go to them for advice, and they tell them, you come to me, forget everything you know. Forget God, forget all this stuff. It's all bullshit. Listen to me, Big Bang, evolution, sit in the corner, shut up, take the loan out, and don't you raise your mouth against me or I will destroy your life.
Right.
And that's what I'm seeing. And I see that as with malice.
So
They have fought against me with every single tool they have.
that's crazy. Well, not to switch gears here, but
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself.
no, don't stop apologizing. You're fine.
Okay, all right. Some people don't like me
fascinated
talking.
by your stuff. It's just I'm trying to get as much as I can in the 2 hours that we have here. Can you talk to us a little bit about the Oribus and the monoatomic gold?
Yeah, the Ormus and the monoatomic gold was all written about in history. That it was the bakers of the bread back then were called alchemists. They were the actual chemists making the bread, and they incorporated this monoatomic gold. Now, what is monoatomic gold? Gold comes as a diatomic molecule. There's always two atoms of gold together, and it does not come in its singular atomic state. However, it's spoken of that it can do this state, and which becomes a very, very high energy gold that gives off electrons, I believe, in this extremely high energy range, and that is what you eat. And because they're 1,800 times smaller than no neutrons, megatrons, and protons, they don't damage you when they decay, because the monoatomic gold is actually like a high energy state, and it does decay. It's called radioactive decay. But radioactive decay with nuclear materials, those are 1,800 times bigger, and when they hit you, they hurt you, and they cause damage to your DNA and everything else. These little ones are high energy, and they will feed you very strongly, but they will not hurt you, I believe. I believe that's what's happening. Now, so what they found out was Dave Hudson discovered there was a lot of gold in certain types of particulates he was finding on the ground. And he did a bunch of studies, and I cut it short. He kept heating it over and over and over, and he would find out if you heated it enough times, what it did was it would push the electrons into an upper orbitals, and then they would collapse. And then you do it again, they'd go up and they would collapse. And you do it again and they would go up and then they wouldn't collapse. And they'd stay up there. And then you do it again and they'd go higher and they wouldn't collapse and they'd stay up there. And then they stayed up there for quite a while. And then all of a sudden they would start filtering down, collapsing, and giving off this high energy. So that is what this Ormus does. And it makes people, they say it makes you literally glow with a light, which is, I can see that happening, because that's exactly what light is. It's electrons dropping from their orbitals, which they get pushed up there by bouncing them up. They drop back down, they give off light. Ormus is said to give off light and glowy white light, and I can see that is chemically feasible.
But
and I also know, and this is one last thing. One last thing is,
right, all over the place.
What's that?
You found this all over the place in the rocks that you've been studying.
Well, the gold is, your body separates out all the minerals that are available to it, and it puts them where you need them. You need gold in your joints. You need certain silicon in your skin. You need, all of these things are that's why certain things keep out stomach acids. Certain things keep alkaline things in there. Your body is a chemical factory, and that is just the bottom line. You're nothing but a chemical factory, and nothing there happens by accident, just bouncing into each other. It's just silly, the things they are teaching. It really is. It's and they're leading people into hell. I'm telling you, that's a fact.
Roger, you said that you were a chemist originally. I mean, were you, the whole time you were doing that, were you already questioning things way back in your career?
I really don't know, to be honest with you. I was sort of just living life like everybody else.
Okay. So did it just kind of hit you like in the last 5 years?
Well, I remember when I was a kid, I was out hunting. I used to hunt all day long when I was a kid. There was nothing but in the woods. and I was into everything, electricity, bombs. We had guns and bombs and cars and motorcycles and engines and rockets and everything you can think of, stills. We were wild kids. But when I remember this one time around in the woods, and I look and I see this whole pile of rocks running down like a line, and I'm thinking, what the hell is that? And then at first I thought maybe that's a fence, and then it didn't look like a fence, and then it looked like all kinds of different crazy rocks, and that always had me intrigued. And when I bought my property here, I have some property here, so, and there's a lot of stone fences. And the stone fences had these same kind of crazy, all kinds of rocks. Well, what happens is the glaciers come down and they do what they call glacial tilling. So that's the other thing there's a problem with. It's a glacial timeline. That is not correct either. Glaciers are not in the right time frame because they push all these rocks up here. So these rocks were here before the glaciers.
Wow.
And the other thing that happened is, have you ever heard of the things they call the things that the rocks, these huge rocks that are all over the place, and they call them anomalies. They're not.
You mean the megaliths?
They're like megaliths,
like
but
Stonehenge and.
Yeah, but they call them. I forget what they call them, but they're just rocks out of place. They shouldn't be there. So why is this rock here? And they say, oh, the glacier left it there. No, the glacier didn't leave it there. The glacier would have pushed that. The glacier didn't leave that there. They're there from creatures. They died. So we got an issue with the glacier. There's been several die-offs.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was curious, have you done any research? This has always hit me because I'm in an area where down the street, it's so sad. They have, we're talking gigantic boulders, and they're all in this one location. And they're just huge. And they're not like created, they're just there, and they're trying to sell the property off, and it looks like they were trying to mine it for a while. And I thought to myself, if that's there on the top of the surface of the planet, what's underneath that's covered up? Have you done any research, like how far down is the other part of the giants themselves below the surface of the planet?
Oh yeah, they go right to the core.
Okay, I was wondering.
I'm going to tell you something else that I just been working on, and I've known this for quite some time, but I just finally realized the impact. They are now doing DNA testing of oil wells. So they test the oil that's coming out of the well.
Okay.
And it was, I was looking into it, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's kind of interesting. And then they just started something new last year, where they're testing oil from one well against another well to see if the wells are invading each other.
Whoa.
Now listen to this. What they are literally testing is two different creatures. And what they did was they went in and they tested the guy's well, and then they kept testing out further and further and further, the same DNA they're getting. And then all of a sudden they pick up a different DNA. What they have picked up is another creature. And then they figure out how long that creature is. Then they see if the hydrocarbons, which is exactly what your cell membranes are made out of, and made out of hydrocarbons. That's all they're made out of. And that is your cell membranes as they turn into gaseous bitumens and oils and methanes.
Huh.
And they invade the earth. But along with them is their DNA from that exact creature. So now they go down a mile down the road, and they go into Jimmy Bob's well, and they say, what kind of creature are you looking at? He said, well, here it is. Oh, no, it's not the same as Joey up the street here. And then they see if one well invades the other, they find out where the layer is between the two creatures. Isn't that amazing? I'm going to get a hold of that company because I don't know if they even realize what they're doing because they're talking about it's a different biota. Well, the biota is because your DNA has leaked into the oil. It's not a different biota, it's a different creature.
And so do you feel the oil is like blood that hasn't, gotten crusted or?
Yeah, it's 100%. All the oil in the earth is from life.
Okay, because I know that goes back to the indigenous belief that oil is the blood of the planet.
100% from life. However, it's not the blood of the planet, it's the food of the planet.
The food
of the planet eats us.
Interesting. Very interesting. What about geodes? You know how they sell like these, they're kind of like ugly looking balls of rock, and if you spray, cut it in half and you open it up, it's crystallized on the inside. What do you feel about those?
Yeah, those are, remember you saw those little tendon balls?
Oh, okay.
All right. Here, I can show you what they're.
Okay. That makes sense.
There are the tendon balls. Whoops, I did it again.
That picture's amazing. So that's like another representation of like the wall of a skin, right?
Oh, what you just saw a minute ago, that was a dinosaur footprints walking up a tendon.
Oh, I saw the footprints. Okay.
Yeah, that was a tendon of a giant creature which is microscopic, and then the dinosaur footprints were on one little strap of the tendon. So that means that the dinosaurs were literally smaller than fleas.
Oh my God.
That guy would have had to have a bushel full of dinosaur T-Rexes for a snack.
Wow. Totally gives you a different perspective, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. But it's just look at this. This is the comet. All right. Now this is the comet 67P, which is a tendon enthesis point, which in you is microscopic, and it is on top of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Whoa.
That's how big it is. It's 100,000 times bigger than you. And that's the size of the creatures we are dealing with that had the battles in space. And that is, there's no question that is a,
You know what else, Roger? When I went to, I did a mission in 2015 in Africa, and I was pretty blown away. It was exceptionally clear that some of the mountain ranges were the profile of giants' bodies lying down on their back and their head face up.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And that was really obvious. I mean, there were so many of them that you just couldn't deny it.
Oh, they're everywhere. They're everywhere in the earth. There is nowhere they do not exist.
That's
and here,
that was incredible.
Elephant. You know about the?
Oh, and then the elephant.
Here, let me find. This is just one to show what the articulation looks like. Now, hold on a second.
This is going to blow up everybody's mind. And then after this, we have to tie it up because we're already over time.
All right, there's one of them. That's just one elephant.
And enlarge that so they can see it. This is mind-blowing, everybody.
All right, yeah, but that's just one. That's one. The better one is here. Hold on.
Oh my God, it's just.
All right, here's the better one.
Oh God.
All right. Now.
Wow.
That's his ear up in here. You see that?
Yes.
His ear broke off of here. This is the fibers of his skin.
Well, that's just...
This was where his eye was. Let me see. I think I even got a better one than this.
Wow.
No, maybe not.
Well, what about that other one where it's standing up? I think it was from China.
Yeah, I just don't have the better shot of it, but it's a dragon. I mean, it's a
incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, go ahead and show us the dragon, and then oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah. That's real. That's real, and that came out of the West Coast somewhere, out of I think Colorado or somewhere,
Wow.
and it's called Draconic X. And it's a dragon, and all of the dragons. You know, Marco Polo went to China, and they had dragons in China. The emperor had his carts being pulled by dragons.
Yeah, the Chinese to this day, I mean, they make reference to the dragon family.
Oh yeah, the dragons are big time over there. They love the dragons.
Yeah, they do. Well, I tell you what, would you be willing to come back and keep us abreast of your findings? And
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd just love to have you back. To, keep me posted on anything that you feel we can share with the audience, because your discoveries are amazing. Wow.
You see this guy with the earmuffs? You see the neck? You see the neck? That's the blood coming out there.
Oh my God.
That's the blood. This is kaolin clays.
That's just crazy. I love it.
Here, I'm going to show you one more, and then I just got to knock your socks off with this one. Hold on.
Okay.
A, B, C, D, E, F. Let's go with a couple of faces.
Definitely need to enlarge that.
That's as big as I can get it, but that's kaolin clay, and that's why they make moss from the kaolin clay.
Wow.
Mosses come out. How about that guy?
Oh my God.
That's
That's
a mountain.
so obvious. That looks a little bit like I'm going to send you a picture of the rock that's around the corner from here. It's really obvious to me.
Let me see.
Oh my.
Yeah.
So obvious.
Here you go. Look at this one.
As they say, if you have the eyes, oh, that one's just incredible.
Yeah. See, that's why. Remember, I told you about these lines. This is what I was worried about before, but that is totally natural. Let's see.
You must love what you do.
See that?
Oh my God.
See the moss? Moss grows on kaolin clays.
Mm.
You see down here, down the bottom, these are their fingers or something. It's like he's got his hand laying on his chest.
Oh, you're
Him and his wife.
Wow. Where is this one? Where's this one taken?
I'm not sure. You know, these here, I get these people send them to me. I'm not even sure, to be honest with you, a lot of them.
So now, wow, look at that. In order for everybody to reach you, they should check out the Mudfossils-University.
Well, here's what it's not. There's no dash. It's Mudfossil University on YouTube.
That's weird. It showed up like that on my browser.
Oh, did it? Well, it's Mudfossil University, and then online is mudfossils.com.
Okay, perfect.
And then, you know, there's Mudfossils, a new science on Facebook.
And if they want to drop you an email, the contact information is on your website, or do you have anywhere in particular you want people to?
Yeah, it's Roger at mudfossils.com is a good one. Yeah.
Roger at mudfossils.com. Okay.
Yeah. How's that for an eyeball? He's looking at you.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to get the word out. I appreciate you doing this and getting the word, because academia is not going to allow this.
Well,
if we don't have people like you to get this out there, it's not going to be allowed.
Well, and I have an awesome audience. So, and that's a lot.
That's a piece of rock. You see that?
God, that one's really obvious. I have rocks like that.
Now watch this. They say, "Oh, that's rose quartz." I say, "What do you? That's just a name. It's not rose quartz. It's a fascia flap." And here's what it is. Here's what it is right here.
Oh my God.
You see what I'm saying? And they won't listen to this. They won't even talk. They say, I don't care what you say. This is impossible. It's ridiculous. I took a course at Johns Hopkins, and the teacher was supposed to be an expert on ancient DNA. He refused to look at anything that I showed him. Absolutely refused.
That's crazy. Now, okay, because they say rose quartz is really good for the vibration of love. Could this possibly be fascia coming from the heart itself, or is it just from connective tissues around joints?
Well, fascia connects all of your body now. It's a brand new science. You know, when I first started this, fascia wasn't considered just fluff. Well, now it's a brand new science because they realized that it binds everything in your body together. And it's almost the most important system in your entire body.
You know, it's anybody who's ever had myofascia work, and I don't know if you ever have, but I have, it's extremely painful. Where they go into the real depths of your joints, and they say that's where a lot of your cellular memory gets accumulated. And it's one of the most effective ways to move through severe damaged joints and, you know, like really bad accidents that you've had and that kind of thing. So that's why I did it. And that's all about myofascia.
Right, exactly. Did you have acupuncture?
You know, I didn't do the needle thing. I did everything but that. I do.
Let me tell you something. Let me stop you right there because I did deep research on this. And Werner Klinger, I believe is his name, over in Germany. I worked with him years ago about this because I found the fascia, and he was the only guy in the world that was even talking about fascia. He was doing it because of pain. He says, we have found out that pain is caused by the fascia. Yeah. And then they went ahead and they found out that where your bundles of fascia invest are the exact same places where the acupuncture points are. So they found out that what they were doing was, ancient people knew this, is where these bundles, like this bundle you're looking at right there, that's a fascia investment point. And that would be an acupuncture point. So now they get this special tool that can look at fascia in its most articulated form. And they found out that when fascia is literally thousands of little tiny fibers that are filled with water. And it's like a fibrous net all over your body. And when you injure that, it can subroot these fibers, and they think it might even be the neural connection because fascia touches every single cell of your entire body. It's the only thing that does. So it could be the communicator.
That's fascinating.
They think it might be the a fiber optic network because it is completely filled with these little. Anybody wants to see something fabulous? It's called strolling under the skin. Strolling under the skin. It will blow you away.
I am going to check that out.
Absolutely fabulous. But let me just say one last thing. When they put these needles through and they spin them, they can actually see the fascia spinning around on these needles.
Wow.
And they think that is it invigorates them somehow. I don't know. I just lost touch with Werner, but it's because he went a different route. I'm looking for this stuff, fossilization. But for pain, I understand it because for tendons, whoa.
Well, you know what? I'm a practitioner and I do work. I do acupuncture through energy. So you don't actually have to have the physical needle going into the skin. And they say that when you're using acupuncture points, you're actually going to the points where there is some sort of energetic vortex on the body. And you're freeing the, the accumulation of stagnant energy.
It very well could be, because that is a focal point. It's just like a bus in a computer. These are the investment places where they come together, and if that is, in fact, the fiber optic network of your body, which it very well could be, because I had shoulder surgery, and I looked into this, and they said you should massage it, and it will, if you continuously massage it every day after you have the surgery, the fascia will knit together the way it's supposed to. If you don't, you will have scar tissue, and you'll have a dead spot, and things won't work right in that spot, which is true. And I didn't do it, and sure enough, they're right.
Yeah, that's very true.
So the fascia could very well be this network, and if it is, that opens up a huge, huge place.
Yes, and thank you for that, because I'm going to be going down that rabbit hole. So we're going to go ahead and close this down because we are way over the 2-hour mark. And thank you so much, Roger, for all the work you've done. This is, again, Roger Spurr of mudfossiluniversity.com. You can check him out on YouTube and Facebook. And he's just got a whole slew of videos. Quite a few of them we've reviewed today, some of the main topics. But just dive in. I don't think you're ever going to see life the same. I know I haven't. So everyone, take care. As always, please continue to check out Galactic Connection. We post our articles, 25 a day at least, and that's at galacticconnection.com, and it's free. So whatever you can do to support GC and all of the team members that work so diligently to try to provide this information to you, we would appreciate it. And we do have a slew of amazing cutting-edge healing services and products available. Stay tuned, because I'm about to finally bring forth my new all-chemical violet ray set that I have been wanting to announce for a long time. It's just about ready. So stay tuned, and we'll talk to you soon. Sending you lots and lots of love. Hope you have an enjoyable time watching this video, and stay tuned. Take care. Bye, Roger. Thank you so much for your help.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much, Alexander. I hope people get the message.
I definitely think they will. Take care.
Okay, thanks.